All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Once again, my dear people, inshallah, today is 5th of Jamad al-Ula. Please ignore the slide dates on the slide because it is showing what we did some 4 years ago. All right, so inshallah, we will be doing Ayat 85 to 137 of Surah Al-A'raf. And yeah, as I said earlier, we are quite behind in our schedule, so we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us to just catch up perhaps. All right. Um, all right, this part perhaps we did. We started off the discussion about. Okay, we will do this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا. And towards Madian, its brother, Shu'aib. قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيري. He said, O my people, worship Allah. There is no ilah for you other than Him. قد جاءتكم بينة من ربكم. Surely clear signs, clear proofs have come to you from your Lord. فأوفوا الكيل والميزان ولا تبخسوا الناس أشياءهم. So, fulfill the measure and weight and do not deprive people of their due. And do not what? Do not cause corruption on the earth after its reformation. Can I see the yes, thank you. ولا تفسدوا في الأرض بعد إصلاحها, and do not cause corruption on earth after its reformation. ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. It is better for you if you are the believers. Now, what we need to understand here is that uh, each of these nations that we have been studying about. Yeah, I remember. You're right, China. Very quickly, then we'll just go through a bit of revision. Each of the nation that we are studying about, they had a particular customized sinful act that they were engaged in, right? So with the people of Shu'aib, radiallahu ta'ala, my apologies, alayhi salam, the prime problem was that they would not measure properly, and the nation was homosexual, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, next slide, please. وَلَا تَقْعُدُوا بِكُلِّ صِرَاطٍ, and do not sit on every path, تُعِدُونَ وَتَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, threatening and averting from the path of Allah. مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ, those who believe in Him, وَتَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا, and you seek to make it deviant. وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ كُنْتُمْ قَلِيلًا فَكَثَّرَكُمْ, and remember when you were a few and He increased you. وَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُفْسِدِينَ, and see how was the end of the corruptors. Next slide. I'm not going to be explaining it because that is what we did earlier. وَإِنْ كَانَ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْكُمْ آمَنُوا, and if there should be a group among you who has believed بِالَّذِي أُرْسِلَتْ بِهِ, in that which I have been sent, وَطَائِفَةٌ لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا, and a group has not believed, فَاصْبِرُوا, then be patient. And this has such a profound lesson for all ages. And when we say that the Quran is for all times and all types of people and for all the parts of the world, then it makes so much sense, because no matter what time and age we live in, there's always a group which is on haqq and always a group which is against haqq. There are the true believers, and then there are people who are true kafirun, true rejectors, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Fasbiru. Patient. Be patient. Persevere. Hatta yahkumullahu bainana. Until Allah judges between us, right? So some of the things that in terms of actions we have to do, but in terms of result, we always have to be waiting as to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to decree for us. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ, and He is the best of the judges. So now what we need to understand is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of the judges. right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows and is the response, if you look at it, it is just getting better and better and better, right? And it is getting clearer and clearer. And then what happened? Who are going to be the first rejectors? The elite class. قال الملأ الذين استكبروا, the leaders of the arrogant ones from his people, they said من قومه, from his people, لنخرجنك يا شعيب والذين آمنوا معك من قريتنا. شعيب, certainly we will expel you and those with you out of our town. Right? And mind you, Shuaib alayhi salam himself was from elite class. He spoke very well, so he was a very eloquent speaker. And the people had aspiration for him. Now he's calling towards Allah. He's asking you to, bash the idols and all of that. So people are disappointed. So he has disappointed people by calling people towards Allah. Right? What else? أو لتعودن في ملتنا, or you will have to revert to our ways. You have become weird, Shoaib. What happened to you? We will make you normal again, quote unquote normal, right? A lot of us start doing hijab. You're like, what happened to you? Come on, be normal again. A lot of us start to pray. What happened to you? Come on, can you not be normal? What is normal? What is normal? Who decides what normal is? Right? You start covering your head, and they're all shocked. They're like, as if following the commands of Allah is some form of abnormality that you have to deal with. Qala, he replied, yani Shuaib alayhi salam, he responded, أَوَلَوْ كُنَّا كَارِهِينَ, even if I hate it, even if I hate getting back to quote unquote normal, قَدْ افْتَرَيْنَا عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا, we would definitely be inventing a lie against Allah in ordina fi millatikum, if we revert to your ways. And you remember, there were people with Shu'aib alayhi salam who reverted. So the Arabic that is used here is representing plural here. بعد إذ نجأنا الله منها, especially after Allah has rescued us from it, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us to the straight path, and it is a form of rescuing us from the corruption that you are causing, whether it is in terms of economic corruption that you're causing, the highway robbery that you're engaged in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected us. وَمَا يَكُونُ لَنَا أَن نَعُودَ فِيهَا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّنَا, and it is not for us that we revert to it except if Allah our Rabb wills. وَسِعَ رَبُّنَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا, our Rabb encompasses everything in knowledge. على الله توكلنا, on Allah we have relied. رَبَّنَا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق. Ya Rabb, decide between us and our people with truth. So especially especially in the previous verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already said that if there are some people who are on haqq, some people who are against haqq, then I am going to be deciding, right? And this dua is, Ya Rab, make the decision. وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْفَاتِحِينَ, and you're the best of the judges. You're the best of those who, sort of, who make decisions, right? A best decision maker. وَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ, and the leaders of those who disbelieved from his people said, and they're continuing their conversation. They are now addressing the masses. لَإِنِ اتَّبَعْتُمْ شُعَيْبًا, if you follow Shu'aib, or people, if you follow Shu'aib, إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا لَخَاسِرُونَ, then surely you would definitely be losers, right? فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الرَّجْفَةُ فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دَارِهِمْ جَاثِمِينَ, thus the earthquake seized them, and they became porpoises lying inverted face down in their homes, right? فَأَصْبَحُوا, Maham, please notice we were doing some of the words. So asbahu, that's how you read in Quran. Now what happened? What gave them a big shock? Intense earthquake, right? الذين كذبوا شعيبا, those who denied Shuaib, those who rejected Shuaib, كأن لم يغنوا فيها, but as if they were never lived therein. Your houses, think about how meticulously you decorate them. You bring so much furniture and you clean it, and there's a sign that human beings are in it, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them in such a way that it represented that they never existed, never they appeared in their houses. الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا شُعَيْبًا, those who denied Shuaib, those who rejected Shuaib, كَانُوا هُمُ الْخَاسِرِينَ, they were the real losers. فَتَوَلَّ عَنْهُمْ, then he left them, وَقَالَ, and he said, يا قومي, O my people, لقد أبلغتكم رسالات ربي. I have certainly conveyed to you the messages of my Rabb. ونصحت لكم, and I have advised you. فكيف أسعى على قوم كافرين? So how do I feel sorrow for a nation of disbelievers? How should I empathize with people who pay no heed to the call of the messengers? And this is not the first time that he has been doing it again and again. He's sad, but he is genuinely sad, but he's sort of consoling himself that what sadness can I exhibit? What emotions can I show you? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِي قَرْيَةٍ مِّن نَبِيٍّ. We have never sent a prophet to a town. إِلَّا أَخَذْنَا أَهْلَهَا. But we afflicted its residents بِالْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, with tribulations and adversity. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَضَرَّعُونَ. That they might become humble. So you know how it works. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a messenger with a message so that people become humble, right? And when the lessons are not learned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first puts them into trials, so you know they become humble. They have all sorts of trials and tribulations and adversities. But when the lessons are not learned, then Allah so opens all sorts of prosperity, blessings, too many blessings. You know, you see, even in the first world country these days, all the quote unquote developed countries, first world countries, right? All sorts of prosperity, blessings, materialistic blessings. What is that they haven't got? And then they are caught by punishment, right? As if you know there's a period in time where it is felt that perhaps they are going to get anything that they ask for, right? All the materialistic, materialistic blessings and economic prosperity and political system, their security system, all of that is so amazing, so fantastic. And then they are caught by punishment, then they are caught by surprise. And inshallah, that is what we are going to be reading in the next ayat. ثُمَّ بَدَّلْنَا مَكَانَ السَّيِّئَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. Then we replaced the adversity with good. حتى عفوا وقالوا قد مس آباءنا الضراء والسراء, until they grew affluent and said, tribulation, adversity did affect our forefathers, and this is something that used to happen to our forefathers, our ancestral problem. فأخذناهم بغتة. Then we seized them suddenly, all of a sudden. وهم لا يشعرون, while they did not perceive, they didn't even know what happened. Prosperity, blessings, these are not necessarily a sign of Allah's rida. This is not necessarily a sign that Allah is happy with us. وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. But had the residents of the town believed and feared Allah. Two conditions for actual, true prosperity. And that prosperity is not necessarily in terms of materialistic benefits, though it can be. It can be, not to take away from that fact. But primarily what? The prosperity that comes with the rida, comes with the happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us. Right? And that prosperity can definitely be what? That can be materialistic. The two conditions are Iman, faith, 100% belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there and I need to worship Him alone. And He's the sustainer of the world. And He is the only one in His asma and His sifat. Wattaqaw, and taqwa, the fear that changes the action. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here and He's going to hold me accountable if I do not change my actions. Allahumma أخلصنا بوجهك الكريم لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض. We would have certainly opened for them blessings from sky and also from the earth. Baraka is goodness. It's a sort of goodness that keeps on multiplying. ولكن كذبوا فأخذناهم بما كانوا يكسبون. But they denied the truth. So we seized them on account of what they had earned. So what they actually did, لفتحنا. So they denied the message of Allah and they did not believe that there was the first condition, and as if they did not believe, where would the taqwa come from? So two conditions for prosperity was not filled in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result afflicted them with adhab. أفأمن أهل القرى, did the people of this town feel secure, أن يأتيهم بأسنا بياتا وهم نائمون, that our punishment comes to them by night when they are in deep sleep. أو أمن أهل القرى, or do the residents of this town feel secure أن يأتيهم بأسنا ضحى, that our punishment comes to them in a broad daylight. So duha is, when the sun is rising and shining, right? وَهُمْ يَلْعَبُونَ, while they are playing around. Both possibilities are there, in the darkness of the night or in broad daylight. In either case, it's baghtatan, it's suddenly. أَفَأَمِنُوا مَكْرَ اللَّهِ, did they feel secure from the makr of Allah, from the plan of Allah? فَلَا يَأْمَنُوا مَكْرَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ, but none feel secure against the plan of Allah except a group of losers. أَفَلَمْ يَهْدِ لِلَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْأَرْضَ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَهْلِهَا, has it not become clear to those who inherited the earth after its former uh, occupants? Yani, who were inhabitants? Yani, who were the people who were living on earth? You are not the original citizens of this place. Your ancestors were here. Yani, not original. You are not the only citizens of this place. Your ancestors were here as well. أَلَّوْ نَشَأُ أَصَبْنَاهُمْ بِذُنُوبِهِمْ, that if we wanted, we can afflict them on account of their sins. وَنَتْبَعُ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ, and we put a seal on their hearts. Hearts being sealed is like an azab, right? Because before the obvious azab, the hearts being sealed is like dying before your actual death, because the heart is not able to perform the function that it is supposed to perform. And the function of heart is not just pumping the blood. We have a spiritual heart that understands, right? That makes decision, that help you accept the guidance or reject the guidance. So if the hearts have already been sealed, it means you have died before your spiritual death. فهم لا يسمعون, so they do not hear. تلك القرى, these are the towns. نقص عليك من أنبائهم, we relate to you some of their stories. And not all of that, some of their stories, some of their news, just to learn and take lesson from them. Not necessarily the details, because that is not the aim of Quran. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُلُهُم بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ, and certainly their messages had brought to them clear proofs. فَمَا كَانُوا لِيُؤْمِنُوا بِمَا كَذَّبُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ, but they were not going to believe in what they had already denied. كَذَلِكَ يَطْبَعُ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِ الْكَافِرِينَ, that's how Allah seals the hearts of the disbelievers. This could be us as well. If we continue the same pattern of behavior as they did, chances are that we will be dealt with in a very same way, in a very similar manner. May Allah guide us. وَمَا وَجَدْنَا لَأَكْثَرِهِمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ, and we did not find most of them true to their covenant, and they didn't live up to their word. وَإِنْ وَجَدْنَا أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَفَاسِقِينَ, indeed we found most of them defiantly disobedient. Now, inshallah, we're going to be starting the account of Musa alayhi salam, and we need to remember that these surahs are being revealed at the end of Makkan period, right? So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is ending his Makkan time just before migration to Medina, right? Now, what is happening? Musa alayhi salam has been discussed in more details as compared to other prophets. And there can be many reasons for that, but one reason perhaps is that Muslim will now be interacting a lot with the Jews, right? Now they are going to, and this is the reason that studying Sirah is so important as we are studying Quran, because now Muslims are going to Medina, and what is happening in Medina, that is what we learn in Sirah, right? And we learn that Muslims are going to be interacting with Jews a lot. So they need to be better equipped, right? Because Jews, their prophet was Musa alayhi salam. And they, of course, they had multiple prophets that were sent to Bani Israel, but this is the prophet that they identify most with. So in this particular section, we will be seeing how Musa alayhi salam had to deal with that cult of power, tyranny, arrogance. Of course, that is led by Pharaoh. ثم بعثنا من بعدهم موسى بآياتنا, then we sent Musa after them with our signs إلى فرعون وملئه, towards Pharaoh and his chiefs. فظلموا بها, but they wrongfully rejected them. فظلموا بها فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المفسدين. So see how was the end results of the corruptors. Rejection of messengers leads to fasad. Every time you reject the message of Quran, either you reject the message of Quran or you interpret the message of the Quran to suit your own desires, right? To suit your own desires, what happens? You cause corruption on earth. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but these days there is a discussion. This is not a new discussion, but a new discussion that is entering Pakistan, is that women are not supposed to cover their head. There is no mention of a head covering in Quran and yada yada yada. Those of you who do follow me on any social media platform, you would know that today I have there's a talk that will be aired on around 2.5 hours from now, and I will share the link before we leave the class of the YouTube where this link will be shared. It is about busting the myths about or the doubts about, or debunking the doubts about hijab, right? So what are the obligations? How do we learn that? Some word analysis and all of that. Please do watch it and please do share it with your loved ones if you possibly can. I shall be very grateful to you because um, you will see that a lot of hard work has been put into that video to be able to debunk. It's a very academic discussion, but I'm sure that it will be helpful for you. Please do remind me at the end to share the link with you. All right. وقال موسى بسم الله من الشيطان الرجيم وقال موسى يا فرعون إني رسول من رب العالمين. And Musa said, "O Fir'aun, for sure I'm the messenger from the Rabb of all the worlds." Fir'aun is not the name of a person, it is the title of the king of Egypt, right? So all the kings were Fir'aun. حقيق على ألا أقول على الله إلا الحق, obligated not to say about Allah except the truth. يعني I can only say truth about Allah. قد جئتكم ببينة من ربكم, I have brought to you a clear sign from your Rabb. فأرسل معي بني إسرائيل, so send Bani Israel with me. So we know that for the longest time Bani Israel were slaves to Egypt, to Pharaoh, right? And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Musa that, we want Bani Israel uh, to enjoy their freedom. Go ask Pharaoh to leave these people. Qala, Pharaoh said, In kunta jita bi aya, if you have really brought some sign, fa'ti biha in kuntam min as-sadiqin, then produce it if you are the truthful ones. This challenge, bring it on. Bring it on. You will see that this is a consistent pattern among the rejectors. فَأَلْقَى عَصَاهُ, so he threw his staff, فَإِذَا هِيَ ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ, and suddenly it turned to a clear serpent, a snake. So two miracles that Musa had displayed, or that Musa showed to Fir'aun: his staff that turned into Thu'ban and his hand glowing. وَنَزَعَ يَدَهُ, and he drove his hand. فَإِذَا هِيَ بَيْدَاءُ لِلنَّاظِرِينَ, right then it became white for all the viewers. It became white, it became shiny, it became... So in both cases, these were miracles are something that are not norms, right? So there are natural laws and then miracles. Miracles are something that doesn't follow natural law. So a natural law is that when stick falls on the ground, it remains a stick, right? Nothing happens to it. Perhaps it breaks, maximum that can happen. But if a stick changes into thorban, into a snake, it means that it is not following natural law, it's something different. Secondly, your hand is supposed to remain, whether you put it in your arms, whether you put it under your armpit, whether you put it on your hand remains hand. You put it on your head, your hand remains. It doesn't start glowing like a glowing, shiny, bright light. But if it is something of this sort is happening, it means that it is going against the natural law, or something that does not follow natural law. So that becomes a miracle. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of showing us miracle as much as he's capable of keeping the world working on the normal natural laws, right? So natural law is that a fire is going to burn, but we know that when Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into the fire did not burn. So even if the natural laws are working, they are working with the permission of Allah, with the command of Allah, right? قال الملأ من قوم فرعون, the leaders of the Pharaoh's people said, إن هذا لساحر عليم. Without a doubt, he is a very well known, very well versed magician. He is a magician who knows his tricks. What has he come here for? يريد أن يخرجكم من أرضكم. He has come to expel you from your own land. فَمَاذَا تَأْمُرُونَ? So what are you going to suggest? So if Pharaoh is establishing the case, hey, this is your own land. And what Musa has come to do? He wants to kick you out of your own land. قالوا, they said, أَجِهْ وَأَخَاهُ, detain him and his brother, right? What Ajay is like to detain for some time, right? Uh, Yani, don't deal with that matter urgently. You can detain him and then we'll sort it out. وَأَرْسِلْ فِي الْمَدَائِنِ حَاشِرِينَ, and send the gatherers in all the cities يَأْتُوكَ بِكُلِّ سَاحِرٍ عَلِيمٍ, to summon every skillful magician to you. وَجَاءَ السَّحَرَةُ فِرْعَوْنَ, and the magicians came to Pharaoh. قالوا, they said, إِنَّ لَنَا لَأَجْرًا إِن كُنَّا نَحْنُ الْغَالِبِينَ, is it going to be is there going to be some reward for us if you overpower? Yani, if this is going to be a show, us versus Musa, and this they're these magicians, they're trying to build their keys, they're going to Pharaoh, they're flattering, and they're saying, oh my, are you going to give us some gifts and some special positions if we win? قال, Pharaoh said, no, of course. وَإِنَّكُمْ لَمِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. Yani, not only, there's not only going to be the reward, but you would be among those who are close to me. When there is a person of power or status, the closer you are to that person, the more are the chances that you're going to enjoy the rewards. So not only that, you're going to have one-time reward, you are going to be closer to me, right? So the more special treatment coming up. قالوا يا موسى, they said, O Musa, إما أن تلقي, will you cast, or وإما أن نكون نحن الملقين, or should we be the first one to cast? قال ألقوا, ألقوا, Musa alayhi salam replied, you go ahead first, you cast first, you start the show. فلما ألقوا سحروا أعين الناس, but when they cast, they bewitched the eyes of people, right? Now, what is the difference between miracles and magic? Magic, the kind that they showed, it was just a trick, right? So the magician that you call on various occasions, not a good thing to do. He's not a magician. He's the one who does trick, right? So he does something to eyes of the people, and they say, "Oh my God, that handkerchief, it just turned into a whatever, a bird," right? So it's not that it is actually happening. They just did it to the eyes. In terms of miracles, this something is actually happening, right? So the stick is genuinely turning into a snake. The hand is genuinely, getting all the light that it has. So, but in tricks and in all the whatever magic, they do something with the eyes of the people. It's like they bewitched them. وَاسْتَرْهَبُوهُمْ, and they terrified them. وَجَاءُوا بِسِحْرٍ عَظِيمٍ, and they came with great magic. I mean, think about it. There is a display in which so many people have gathered, and all of these things are turning into what? All of those things turning into snakes. All of their sticks turning into snake, and you see so many snakes around, and of course you're intimidated, you're scared. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى أَنْ أَلْقِ عَصَاكَ, and we revealed to Musa that cast your staff, and we learned that even Musa alayhi salam, فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى. Elsewhere we learned that Musa alayhi salam also got scared, and he hid that fear in his heart, right? فَإِذَا هِيَ تَلْقَفُ مَا يَأْفِكُونَ, so suddenly it swallowed all their false illusions that they created. So what happened? That Musa alayhi salam's stick genuinely turned into a tha'ban, into a snake, and it ate all the other snakes or whatever the show was. فَوَقَعَ الْحَقِّ, and the truth was established. وَبَطَلَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, and all that they were doing was nullified. فَغُلِبُوا هُنَالِكَ وَانْقَلَبُوا صَاغِرِينَ, so they were defeated there, and they were humiliated. Who were defeated? Pharaoh and his magicians. Humiliated. They started off with, seeking greatness, and ended up what? They were humiliated. وَأُلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سَاجِدِينَ, and the magicians were made to fall down in prostration. It was a very reflex section, a reflex response. They fell into prostration. Because you know what happens? That a person who is an expert in the field, they know the limits of the field, right? So perhaps I, not being a physician, or I not being an expert in physics, how would I know what what are the limits of physics? You know, I don't. There's no way I can know because I'm not even a like student of physics, right? But if somebody comes to me and talks about psychology and say that psychology can do, the power of mind can do this for you, that for you. No, well, no, this is the area that I'm a little bit expert in. I can tell you that no, psychology is not capable of doing that because psychology's limits are, there are certain limits and psychology cannot go beyond that. So magicians were expert in their field and they knew how far can it reach. Their expertise helped them differentiate between miracles and magic. And what Musa alayhi salam showed was indeed a miracle, right? Uh, and rest didn't see it, right? The rest of the people like Firaun didn't see it because he did not know the limits of magic. قالوا, the magician said, آمنا برب العالمين, we believed in the Rabb of the worlds, Rabbi Musa wa Harun, Rabb of Musa and Harun. So don't get confused, Mr. Firaun. We are not talking about you as Rabb. We are talking about the Rabb of Musa and Harun and not you. قال فرعون. Firaun said, آمنتم به قبل أن أذن لكم? You believed in him before I granted you permission? إن هذا لمكر مكرتموه في المدينة. In fact, this is a plot which you have planned in the town. He and his leaders, they knew that they had hired the best magicians and they have hired them themselves, yani Fir'aun. And yet to save their face, because of course, the plot twisted in a way that they never expected. They couldn't foresee. They were putting blame on the magicians. And of course, Musa, that's your plot. لَتُخْرِجُوا مِنْهَا أَهْلَهَا, in order to expel its resident from it. But they're reminding again and again, subconscious messages that, you are the resident of this place, O Bani Israel, you are the resident of Misr. فَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ, but soon you will come to know. What am I going to do? لَأُقَطِّعَنَّ أَيْدِيَكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ مِنْ خِلَافٍ, I will certainly cut your hands and feet from opposite sides. ثُمَّ لَأُصَلِّبَنَّكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, then I will certainly crucify all of you. قالوا, they said, Inna ila rabbina munqalibun. Certainly to our Rabb we are going to go return. Yani subhanallah, they just believed, the magicians just believed, and look at the height of their iman. Look at the intensity of their iman. They said, okay, you want to kill us, kill us. Eventually we're going to go back to our Rabb. And this is so unfortunate that so many of us being Muslims, we're more Muslims by birth, and the interview that I have happened to I did that with the sister, she was at a word. And subhanAllah, I was just sitting and thinking there is a word who is capable of teaching us, who is telling us what is right and what is wrong, right? Anyway, وَمَا تَنْقِمُ مِنَّا إِلَّا أَنْ آمَنَّا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّنَا لَمَّا جَاءَتْنَا. And you only hate us because we believed in the signs of our Rabb when they reached us. رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. This is one of my most favorite dua in Quran. رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. Our Rabb, pour on out unto us sabr, right? Like, yani, there's a bucket full of water and you're asking someone to, khalas, throw it on you. You just drench yourself in sabr. Sometimes a little bit of sabr is not sufficient. You want a bucket full of it. So drench us in sabr, وَتَوَفَّنَا Muslimin, and take our lives as we are Muslims. وَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْ قَوْمِ فِرْعَوْنَ, and the chiefs of the people of Fir'aun said, تَذَرُ Musa وَقَوْمَهُ لِيُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Will you leave Musa and his people free to create mischief in the land? وَيَذَرَكَ وَآلِهَتَكَ, and abandon you and your gods? قَالَ, he responded, سَنُقَتِّلُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَنَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُمْ, we shall kill their sons and spare their women. Right? Let's take their manpower. Like we did many, many years ago. Remember the year that Musa was born? Same strategy was, so we're going to be killing the babies 1 year, we're going to be leaving them 1 year. Let's do it again. That's how cult of power responds. They're going to be, you'll be disappeared. We'll take you somewhere nobody would know. Your family would not know, your friends would not know. You'll be gone. وَإِنَّا فَوْقَهُمْ قَاهِرُونَ, and we have complete control over them. We have economic control, we have military control, we have physical control. Why not? A display of our power is needed here. قال Musa, Musa said to his people, لِقَوْمِهِ, Musa said to his qawm or his people, إِسْتَعِينُوا بِاللَّهِ, seek help from Allah. So subhanallah, what an appropriate response. Sometimes we are so immersed in planning and plotting that we forget to seek the isti'ana, the help of Allah. Right? So ista'inu billah, seek help from Allah, wasbiru, and patiently persevere. Innal arda lillah, no doubt the land belongs to Allah. يورثها من يشاء من عبادي, he inherits it to whom he wills. من عبادي, from his slaves, from his people. والعاقبة للمتقين, and ultimately end is going to be the for the people of taqwa, right? So perhaps they do have economic prosperity, political prosperity, or political edge, or they have physical power, whatnot. But the end, the ultimate end, is going to be for those who have taqwa. قالوا أوذينا من قبل أن تأتينا, his people said, we were persecuted before you came to us. And he, oh Musa, what has happened? You were persecuted before you came, وَمِن بَعْدِ مَا جِئْتَنَا, and after you have come to us. What difference have you made? We were in trouble before you came. We are in trouble after you came. This was the response to, how Munafiqeen responded to Musa, to Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that what have we gotten ourselves into? What have we got after getting ourselves into this mess? Qala, Musa alayhi salam responded very, very nicely, very gently, Asa rabbukum an yuhlika aduwakum. It is quite possible that your Rabb destroys your enemy. وَيَسْتَخْلِفَكُمْ fil ard, and grants you succession in the land. فَيَنْظُرَ كَيْفَ تَعْمَلُونَ, so as to see how you act. Right now, perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you succession, honor, to see how you act. وَلَقَدْ أَخَذْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ بِالسِّنِّينَ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ, and we afflicted Fir'aun's people with starvation and lack of fruit. These were the minor punishment before the major punishment, which is coming. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَذَّكَّرُونَ, that perhaps they will be reminded, or perhaps they will, pay heed. فَإِذَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْحَسَنَةُ, thus when the good came to them, قالوا, they said, لَنَا هَذِي, this is for us. And it was not a question, they would say, this is for us, لَنَا هَذَا. قالوا لنا هذه, that this is for us. وإن تصبهم سيئة, but if any calamity hit them, يطيروا بموسى ومن معه, they ascribed a misfortune to Musa and his companions. Any good that is coming, this is because of us. We are so amazing. Any bad that is coming, Musa. Musa is responsible. Allah innama ta'iruhum indallah. Without a doubt, this fortune is with Allah. ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. But most of them have no idea. وقالوا مهما تأتنا, they further said to whom? Said to Musa, no matter which sign, مهما تأتنا به من آية, no matter which sign you bring to us, لا تسحرنا بها, in order to bewitch us through it, فما نحن لك بمؤمنين, we are not going to be believing in you in slightest, بمؤمنين at all. فأرسل عليهم طوفان, so then we sent to them the flood, والجراد, and the locust. If you have ever gone to the countryside, you might have known that locust attack just destroys the field, destroys the crops. وقمل, والقمل, and the lice. والضفادع, the is the plural of difda, yani frog, and the plural is frogs. والدم, and the blood. آيات مفصلات, and distinct clear signs. So these are some of the minor adab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inflicted them before the major one, which is of course drowning. فاستكبروا, yet they showed arrogance. وكانوا قوما مجرمين, and they were criminal people. وكانوا مجرمين, and they were criminal people. ولما وقع عليهم الرجس, and every time the punishment descended upon them, قالوا, they said, يا موسى, O Musa, ادعو لنا ربك, call on your Rabb for us. بما عهد عندك. Just give me a moment, I'll drink some water. My apologies, I didn't want to leave the eye in the middle, but my throat was not. ولما وقع عليهم الرجس قال يا موسى ادع لنا ربك بما عهد عندك. And O Musa, call on your Rabb for us. بما عهد عندك, by what he has promised you. لئن كشفت عنا الرجس, if you remove from us the punishment, لنؤمنن لك, we shall certainly believe in you. ولنرسلن معك بني إسرائيل, and we will certainly send Bani Israel with you. فلما كشفنا عنهم الرجس, but every time we remove the punishment from them, إلى أجل, for our term, هم بلغوه, which they were to reach, إذا هم ينكثون, they would immediately break their covenant. Right? So what happened? That, oh Allah, if you take away from us this punishment, we are going to be nice people. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away the punishment, they never became the nice people. They broke their covenant. And if it is not limited to Bani Israel, or it is not limited to the Pharaoh and his kaum. If you look at our attitude, every time we are in the middle of a mess, you're like, Ya Rab, if you just do me this, I'll start taking hijab, and I'll start praying 5 times a day, and I'll start doing this, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us off, we are back to normal, quote unquote normal. Right? And this is the reason I keep telling that if you have to make promises with Allah, ask Allah for His tawfiq, ask Allah for His blessing, ask Allah for, to give us that power to enable us to be able to act upon whatever we are promising. فَانْتَقَمْنَا مِنْهُمْ, so we take revenge from them. فَأَغْرَقْنَاهُمْ فِي الْيَمِّ, so we drowned them in a sea. بأنهم كذبوا بآياتنا, because they denied our signs. وكانوا عنها غافلين, and they were heedless to them. Now, this was the major punishment. Khalas, drawn in the sea, story ended. وَأَوْرَثْنَا الْقَوْمَ الَّذِينَ كَانُوا يُسْتَضْعَفُونَ, and we made the people who were being oppressed theirs. We gave them the power on the earth. Now, Bani Israel is in power. مشارق الأرض ومغاربها التي باركنا فيها. The eastern and the western parts of the world, uh, the eastern and the western parts of the land blessed by us. And it didn't happen immediately, it took some time, but eventually happened. وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ الْحُسْنَى, and the beautiful promise of your Rabb was fulfilled على بني إسرائيل, for Bani Israel, بما صبروا, because they patiently persevered. So we started early in Surah Al-Baqarah that they were difficult people and they put their prophet in difficulty. But another part of their legacy was also there, their patience, right? So that is also being acknowledged here. وَدَمَّرْنَا مَا كَانَ يَصْنَعُ فِرْعَوْنُ وَقَوْمِهِ, and we destroyed all that Pharaoh and his people used to produce. وَكَانُوا يَشْعَرُونَ, my apologies, وَكَانُوا يَعْرِشُونَ, and what they used to erect, right? Their palaces and other constructions, all of that was destroyed. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. All right. Yes, my people, any reflection? And I hope that there is going to be a lot of reflection today. Just stop the recording.